You're listening to the Money Mike's syndicated radio podcast. We just want to say hello again. We always want to start you on your way to a beautiful day. And we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. Sean Payton. It's NFL Black Monday, and your name should be included in the list. And folks, let me tell you, I was just about to walk away from this story, and I took a look at Warren Sapp and Jason Whitlock. And they were discussing the behavior of Sean Payton. And Warren Sapp said, no, that's the wrong behavior. Something's off. So I went a little bit step further. I was going to walk away from the story. I exhausted. But here's what caught me, is I saw Jason Whitlock. And you know Jason Whitlock, he has a very adverse opinion on African Americans. But I saw his face, and I saw a look on Jason Whitlock's face, and it immediately let me know something was wrong. He's from Indiana. Russell is from Wisconsin. We look at Russell Wilson as congressman, senator, and I could see there was something wrong on Jason Whitlock's face. And so when I looked a little bit deeper, I said, okay, let me go take another look. Let me just peek behind the curtain just a little bit. And folks, this is what I found. Because everybody, and before I get into it, let me just tell you something. To the Waltons, the owners of the of the Denver Broncos, to the Waltons who own this, I'm asking you to give us a position and stand here. Because if this is your position and your stand, and folks, we understand Walmart. We understand that Walmart is not the store for all. But I do know the minorities are heavily consumers. And I'll be honest with you, if this situation happened in Walmart, this would be a human resource nightmare. If somebody did this, or store manager, district manager, on up the line. And the Waltons, you're in a different kind of business. So here's what I got to do with the Waltons who are just coming in. I got to hold you to a higher standard, because you own a business outside of the NFL that caters to our community. And when I say our community, the minority community. Okay? And your business that you own is not just dedicated for just America. It's not Neiman Marcus. It's not Macy's. Okay? Let's just keep it 100. But you are the owners now of the Denver Broncos. And Sean Payton is your head coach. And so what do I say to that? Let me break this down and go through, because I found out something real interesting. And I'm going to break it down to you, folks. Sean Payton has never been the coach. In fact, Sean Payton didn't even coach Drew Brees. And I say that to tell you that, and with my HBCU students and graduates, I'm going to tell you something. The loudest in the room is not always the smartest in the room. So when you have somebody taking out of character position, as Sean Payton did with Russell Wilson, which was a total embarrassment, and not only did he do that, he went a step further than that, and I'm going to play a clip for you a little bit later in the show where he's messing with the players' money. And Randy Moss was very clear on that. Now I got a guy messing with my money. If my agent, if they call, as I told you earlier, do not take that person's call. And the reason you don't take that person's call is because anytime you have an individual who is willing to miss the playoffs intentionally, and folks, here's where I get the highs and the lows, okay? And I got another piece I'm going to break out, because there was some medication or something I just read about in the Denver Post. Okay, somehow some medication somehow got out of the locker room. And before I release any of that information, I just want to make sure, okay, and I'll source that out for you, but that involves Mr. Payton as well. But here's where I'm going with this, okay? You intentionally held back information. You intentionally did play calling. You intentionally was intended to bench Russell Wilson. And in the end, you wanted to play Jarrett Stidham. I get it. But here's the deal, that all that transpiring, the Broncos were getting into the playoffs and having an opportunity to play for playoff money. Okay, and here's where it gets a little sticky, because Mr. Payton, you got your $18 million. okay, and how you got it and how you duped it and how you worked it all out, you got it, okay? But that ain't how this game plays out, because those players, those other men on that roster, they depend on that, because folks, in the NFL, every salary is structured. You have some guys make a lot of money, some guys play for minimum. That's the way it's played. So just to give you an idea, when you make the playoffs, let's say, for instance, the players are going to earn in a wild card game. You're going to get $46,500 extra dollars, okay? And the numbers may have went up a little bit, but these are the numbers. You get $46,500. If you lose a playoff game, you get $41,000. So you got 53 other players. While he's taking home his $18 million, you got 53 other players who are not getting playoff checks, okay? Let's go a step further. For every divisional team, okay, earns 46 in the divisional round, 46,500. The next tier, if you get past the divisional round, the NFC Championship game pays you $69,000 per player. And if you go all the way up to the Super Bowl, you're going to make $157,000. And folks, this is bonus money. And what I'm talking about here is Sean Payton messing with players' money. Okay, you guys don't know it. You think this guy's running around. You guys are under the impression he's a coach. And don't get me wrong, because he had me fooled too. Okay, but he duped himself into success. And I'm going to tell you something, man. It ain't the success you think he has. But I'm going to break it down for you. So here's the deal. Sean Payton claimed, and everybody thought he had Drew Brees, and I kind of saw it teetering away at the end. Him and Brees were separating by a lot. But here's what went down in that situation. And I found it very interesting. Sean Payton never coached Drew Brees. Sean Payton, you're hearing it from me now. He didn't coach Drew Brees. But he sits there, and folks, I'm telling you, it puzzled me, is how in the world can he have the biggest clipboard in the NFL? I mean, you look at his clipboard, it's the biggest in the NFL. Okay, but this is what goes down. You fake it till you make it. Okay, Joe Lombardi, Vince Lombardi's grandson, is the coach. Okay, he's the coach. All right, he's the one that coached Drew Brees in San Diego. And when Drew Brees came over to the Saints, he's the one that coached him up. Sean Payton never coached Drew Brees up. Okay, and in fact, when Drew Brees retired, because Sean Payton didn't have the ability to coach him up and didn't have the ability to coach quarterbacks, okay, he quit. This guy quit. Okay, left him in salary cap issues, and he quit. So if you want to know, I was trying to figure out what happened, and I saw the way he treats quarterbacks. And folks, let me tell you, quarterbacks are special people. They're very delicate. They're very sensitive. Sometimes we even call them the ultimate diva. Okay, they walk with the head coach. If he's an offensive coach, everything is different. Never have I seen a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's on a Hall of Fame trajectory, okay, be talked to in the manner he did. And here's my question with it before I break down Joe Lombardi, because you had that same energy when you were taking him down on the sideline. Here's my answer. Here's my question for you, Sean. And the Waltons, where was that energy at the press conference yesterday when the Raiders whipped your tail? And I'm telling you, folks, this is no joke. This is real. And I'm going to let you in on another little secret about the NFL and why I'm for the Rooney Rule. You guys are always saying, okay, it doesn't matter. It's black. Any coach doesn't matter. The NFL coaches, and I'm talking about the African-American NFL coaches, we don't need them for coaches only. We need them because they are father figures to the players in the NFL. And let me tell you what it means by a father figure. Folks, there's a lot of guys, and by God's choice, who make it to the NFL and they have never, and I mean never, even known who their father was. Okay? But they fought their way out by the help of their grandmother, their auntie, to get to this stage. Okay? And when you get there, the teams that have success, and I repeat, the teams that have success in the NFL that you're watching are falling under the Rooney Rule because they're father figures. Okay? And that is the most important thing. And to the Broncos, you got Vance Joseph sitting there. And I'm telling you, this move is going to eventually happen because with Sean Payton, man, the deck is stacked. I thought he was a coach. I really did. I mean, he had me baffled. But Joe Lombardi, Vince Lombardi's grandson, is a coach. Because when Drew Brees was with the Saints, him and Lombardi had already connected. They were already putting up numbers. Okay, Brees got hurt, had to rehab, had to get the injuries. And here's what happened. That was Lombardi's guy. Sean Payton has never coached a quarterback, and that's why the quarterbacks fail. I'm putting it down for you tonight. Let me walk through it. Let me just walk you back so I can go through this, okay? Sean Payton, first thing I'm going to tell you, he ain't never for the players, guys. This guy in 1987 crossed the scab picking line, okay? He crossed the scab picking line in 1987. Okay, so I'm trying to understand with the Chicago Bears. So while the players who have sacrificed their lives, who have been there, who are fighting each and every week and building to this, he crossed the picking line. So what does that tell you right there, players, NFL players? He's not your guy. Okay, he'll step over a tomato and a can of peas, okay, that are meant there for food for somebody to go ahead and get the chicken. That's what he does. Okay, so I dug through it. After getting through that, I said, okay, let me see what else is going on. Because once you get the digging, and you get the digging, you're going to dig everything out you can find. Okay, so he goes to San Diego State, 88, 89. He's an offensive assistant. Okay, look at the movement. He goes to next to that. That's a one-year stint. No success. He goes to Indiana State, 90, 91. He goes to running backs and wide receivers. And I'm trying to figure out why would a guy who coaches quarterbacks, the guy who says he's a guru of quarterback, what's he doing coaching running backs and wide receivers? I know why. Because he couldn't coach them up. He couldn't do it. And I'm going to prove that to you tonight. Here's what happened. So then he goes after leaving Indiana State. He's a running back coach. Okay, but you fake it till you make it. He goes over to San Diego State. What's he coaching over there? Running backs. Now here my entire life, I'm thinking, okay, I'm watching Saints. I'm watching Drew Brees. This guy's money in the banks. This Sean Payton's really good. He's not the one. And folks, for the life of me, and I don't know what's going on in the NFL. I don't know the inner. Can somebody tell me why Joe Lombardi is not a head coach? He's not an African coach. He's a grandson. Why is Joe Lombardi? Okay, Joe is dialing it up. Payton didn't dial it up. He's looking at the big board, got everybody filled, and you're thinking he's not the one. So let's keep it pushing. After San Diego State, he goes to Miami, Ohio. They go 5-5. They're like last in the conference in offense. And I keep thinking, okay, this guy's a shuffleboard. I mean, this is up, folks, in corporate America. You know, I work for one of the greatest boss at AT&T. And one thing I always learned, like Danny G would tell me something straight away. Don't throw rocks when your house is made out of glass. And don't push your problems on somebody else. Deal with them yourself. So he's been henpecking himself away every time. One thing I can tell you about Sean Payton that he's really, really good at, Sean Payton is good at getting a job. Now, keeping the job, okay, that's a whole nother story. Because all you did is bring in the right people. But you ain't never coached. And now you're here, you have convinced the Waltons, because of your tenure in New Orleans, that you have the ability to walk into an organization and turn it around. Folks, that's false. The Waltons, that's false. Vet it out yourself. Because if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at, I want you to vet this situation out, because here's why. You got an individual has convinced you, because of his relationship with Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells, which he is neither of those individuals. Those guys put in the work. Those guys put in the work. They get in the building. They work with their players, and they get the job done. He ain't putting in no work. Joe Lombardi's the coach. And I'm going to break it down to you. Let me keep it going. So after getting done at Miami Howland, had no success, he says, okay, let me try my luck somewhere else. This guy's a movement year by year. He goes over there to offensive coordinator for Illinois. Okay? Now, you're the offensive coordinator for Illinois. You have success. Here's the deal, and here's how it all works out. Here's what's really interesting to me, is when it all works out, how do you go from the offensive coordinator to the back to the quarterback's coach for the Eagles? Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. So he gets the quarterback's coaching job, and he does that with the Eagles 97, 98. Then he goes on, he says, look, I'm a one-stop shop. I mean, this guy moves around more than popcorn. Popcorn pops in the microwave. Okay, every year he's got a different job. And normally when guys go in, they put something in, they stay, they do it. He ain't coming here to stay. He's coming for the check. Okay, so he goes after that, the Eagles. He goes quarterback coach for the New York Giants. Okay, so Jim Tressel takes a chance on him. Here's where to get in. Jim Tressel, head coach of the New York Giants, takes the chance on him. He says, okay, here's my guy, Sean Payton. You're selling it to me. You're showing me everything you can do. He makes him the offensive coordinator from 2000 to 2002. And folks, let me tell you what goes down when somebody can't coach. As the New York Giants offensive coordinator, he was completely stripped of his play calling duties. Completely stripped. Sean Payton was completely stripped of his play calling duties. See, folks, when you walk through a guy's resume, you kind of, it dawned on me. And again, Jason Whitlock, Warren Sapp caught it. They say something wrong. Something's wrong here, folks. This man ain't never done it, but he duped you into believing he could do it, and that's how this played out. But Joe Lombardi's the coach. Joe Lombardi's the one who had him in San Diego. Peyton Smarty brought Joe Lombardi into New Orleans to coach him. You got your consistency, but he ain't never drew it up. Lombardi was the offensive coordinator there. All these years we've been thinking Peyton had this magic. He ain't got no magic. It ain't even in him. So guess what? After getting his call, offensive coordinator, getting your call play duties stripped in the NFL, that is basically telling everybody in this world, you have no idea what you're doing. You don't know how to read a defense. And so as I was looking at it, and I kept looking at it, I kept saying, okay, this guy's trying to call these plays. This guy's suffering like a duck out there. And I'm a DB. So if I can look at it and say, man, I can read that. I don't even need to look at a route tree or anything. I see what they're running. It's as basic as it's coming. It's an embarrassment. All right? So he gets stripped out of that. But guys, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about these guys in the NFL and how they recycle their friends. He ain't never been out of a job. See, this is what's interesting to me. And this is where the NFL, man, I'm going to break this down for the NFL because I got some news coming. The NFL in the next 2 or 3 years is going to be facing some tremendous competition. Tremendous competition. And when you look at this, and here's an example of what it is. You know, Major League Baseball, they call that the show. You know what? The NBA, they call it the league. The NFL, they call it the league. But at the show, you used to pack 40, 50,000 in there a night. You go look at baseball, man, you may be lucky to get 5 or 10. And the only thing is happening when the playoffs kick off. And I'm telling you, man, you keep doing this in the Waltons, I'm telling you, cut your losses. Because I'm breaking it down to you. Let's go a little bit further. He doesn't work out with the Giants, but he ain't going to stop there. He goes over to the Dallas Cowboys. He's the assistant head and the quarterback's coach. Okay, look at this guy. This guy's a quarterback coach. A quarterback coach. So we're trying to figure out, how did this guy climb this ladder? I tell you how he climbed it. He climbed it off relationships with friends. And he goes in there, and I'll tell you what he's good at. He's good at doing a good corporate presentation. Okay? And that's the flip side. You look at Bill Parcells, you look over there, and you look at the Jim Harbaugh, look at the Harbaugh brothers. They ain't into the presentation. They do the work. Sean Payton don't do the work. And to go to the podium, and man, I saw a little fish crying. I thought the fish was dying. I saw so much of that, but I'm like, man, we can't have highs and lows in the NFL. You can't be a man on Monday and a female on Tuesday. That's not how the NFL goes, and that's what I saw at the podium yesterday. And let me tell you, the dance don't stop there. Sean Payton's going to go ahead and come up with these fantastic moves that ain't going to work because ain't nobody coming. I told you that, and I'm going to play Randy Moss's tape. Ain't nobody coming, and everybody's trying to get out of there. Okay, you got no draft picks. You got no cap space. I mean, this is a recipe, and here's why I said in this situation. I had to look at it because, I went over David Tepper, and we just did Whacking the Fool. And then I had to go back and look at the Waltons. I mean, let's be honest. They're worth $60 billion. So if David Tepper's worth $20 billion, and the Waltons are worth $60 billion, let me tell you what the Denver Broncos are. Denver Broncos are nothing but a tax write-off. You understand that? Now, that's kind of hard to believe. But if you watch the movie Any Given Sunday and you see the daughter sitting there just drinking wine and the mom sitting with the dog, I mean, it's a tax write-off. That's all we got. This is none of their family income, no wealth, nothing's dependent on it. This is to come in, get a team. They had to come in and buy the team. And they had to use the recommendations. And guess whose name came up? Sean Payton. He'd be the right man for the job. Man, you got Duke Waltons. And I'm telling you here first now. So here we go, Dallas Cowboys. Hits the head coach. And then guess what? He goes over to the Saints. And he goes over there from 2006, 2011. And he brings in Joe Lombardi. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why do I say Joe Lombardi's a football coach? And why do I speak about Joe Lombardi like that? And why do I hear Troy Aikman? You know, every time I watch a game and Lombardi's dialing it up, I mean, I'm hearing Troy Aikman just say, this guy, man, he's it. Okay? But here's the deal that I got to have a concern with. And this one bugs the heck out of me. And when I say bugs the heck out of me, it really does. I mean, it's got me where let's say, hey, let's take the music down and let's just kind of just talk it out. Okay, so here's Joe Lombardi. Let me tell you what a football coach is. Okay, Joe Lombardi, he came into the Saints 2009. He's an offensive coordinator for the Broncos. I tell you, he's the coach. He's the one that dials. He knows how to coach football. Okay, Sean Payton has been a quarterback's coach. He's been a quarterback's coach. He's been a running back's coach. And then he became an offensive coordinator where his play calling duties were completely stripped. When they strip your duties, that means you have no idea what the hell you're doing. Okay, and nobody should become an offensive coordinator and get their duties stripped. Okay, that means you got demoted. Okay, and next thing you can do is leave. All right, so let's go through it. And man, I really like Lombardi's resume. Okay, so here's Lombardi. Now let's check out the different position coaches. Here's a guy who comes in and he's offensive coordinator, but he starts off, he goes to Dayton. He's at Dayton from 96 to 98. He's the defensive line coach. This guy loves coaching football. Okay, he leaves there. He goes to VMI. He's a tight end and tackles coach. Okay, so think about it. He understands the D-line. Now he's got the tight ends. He got the tackles. So he's got blocking schemes. This guy's a brilliant coach. Okay, then after that, he goes over to Bucknell, and he's a defensive line coach and the strength and conditioning coach. So that tells me right there, Joe Lombardi knows how to work with players. Joe Lombardi has coach players. Joe Lombardi has to keep players up and keep them working to a positive goal. Okay, so then after that, he goes to New York, New Jersey Hitman, and he's a tight end coach. I've never heard of the Hitman, but so what? He loves coaching football. He'll coach anywhere. That's what Joe Lombardi will do, all right? He goes after that, he goes to Mercury Hearst, 2002, 2005. He's an offensive coordinator and a quarterback's coach. Okay, so think about it. This guy is he's coaching all the positions. Okay, after that, he goes to Atlanta Falcons. This is the most amazing resume I've ever seen on a coach. Because most guys stay on one side. This guy's a head coach. He can go on either side. He goes to Falcons. He's a defensive assistant. Okay, he comes to the Saints 2007, 2008. He's an offensive assistant. He comes to the Saints 2009, 2013. He's quarterback coach. Okay, he goes over to Detroit Lions 2014, 2015. He's offensive coordinator. Okay, he comes back over to the Saints 2006, 2020. He's quarterback coach. And so what I'm trying to tell you, he never coached Drew Brees. Sean Payton, he didn't do no coaching with Drew Brees. He can't sit down and tell a quarterback how to read a defense. He don't even know how to do that himself. Okay, he couldn't do it as a player. Think about this. Because most of the time, guys with players are not very good on the field. They may be second or third or fourth on the depth chart. They're really, really good. You very rarely see a guy that didn't play much in college continue his coaching career and not be a successful coach. The guys you worry about, the guys that were the superstars in college and say they want to coach because they have no patience. This guy never played. He should have all the patience in the world, but he never got it done. Okay, so you go back to Lombardi, quarterback's coach. He goes over to the Chargers, and guess what? He's the offensive coordinator there. He's there for 1 year. Okay, guess who calls him up? Because guess what? He got a job, and he don't know how to do it. Sean Payton calls Joe Lombardi. Okay, and when he calls Joe Lombardi comes take the job. That's the coach. To the Waltons, that's your coach. That's your head coach. And then you got Vance Joseph over there. And here's the flip side of what he does, okay? When Sean Payton takes the job, he tries to go get the best he can. And they got relationships. I don't fault him for that. But that's not because he coaches defense. It's not. It really is. Because Gary Gibbs was a defensive coordinator from 2006, 2008. After that, he called the best in the business, who just got choked up in a Bountygate scheme. But guess who got dumped on? Sean Payton scaved on the way, lost the year. Greg Williams is gone. Okay, and Greg Williams, man, I'm going to tell you, that's one of the best defensive coordinators. Because you ain't, the most profound statement, don't touch the quarterback. And he says, look, you got to block. If you guys don't block, how the hell are you going to tell me don't touch the quarterback? That's Greg Williams. Greg Williams coaching in the XFL. I mean, Greg Williams will coach anywhere. Some of these guys will do it for free. Okay, but Sean Payton ain't a guy to do it for free. He came there to get the money. Fire me if you're not. Give me 6 years at $18 million. Okay, 6 years at $18 million a year. Okay, folks, that comes out to $108 million whether you succeed or not. Okay, and his contract's guaranteed, and the other players' contracts are not guaranteed. Okay, that's an embarrassment. That's ridiculous. That should never happen. Okay, Steve Spagnuolo came in. The guys he's got on the defensive coordinator, he don't even look in the defensive room. He don't even know how to coach defense. He don't know anything about defense. He's never been on that side of the ball. This guy fake it till you make it. He did it. Okay, so he looks for the best. He calls his friend Steve Spagnuolo. He comes in, he does it for a year. Okay, what happens after that? You call Rob Ryan. Okay, why not? Why not? Because you don't do it. So why not go get the best you can find? Okay, and guess what? That's what he did. Okay, and then after that, he went along and he got Dennis Allen. Okay, he went along and did that. And again, this guy left the job after Drew Brees left because he can't coach another quarterback up. He walked away from a contract. And let me tell you, when guys can't coach and they get out there and they're on their own, they don't know what they're doing, that's how they do it. After, Rob Ryan, he went to Dennis Allen, and then he went to Joe Woods. Okay, and then obviously today, what do? You have the Denver Broncos. You got 2 head coaches behind you. 2 guys that should be head coaches in the NFL sitting behind this pathetic act that you're doing. Okay? Then you go to the podium and you turn into, don't get me wrong, you're on the sideline with Russell Wilson. You're being the big dog in the house. Okay? But you go to the podium after the Raiders, and I'm going to tell you about that Rooney Rule because Antonio, I told y'all, Antonio got that on lock. The reason he's got it on lock because he does what guys like Sean Payton get fired. And this is exactly what Vance Joseph would do. It's going to be exactly what Joe Lombardi's going to do, is call those guys together, get them in a meeting, let them air out everything they didn't like about Payton, and now let's go play football. Okay, so you understand, that's what Josh McDaniels, and guys, these guys on the NFL sideline coaching with visors, man, you watch them. Because birds of a feather flock together. You saw the visor with Josh. These guys think they're smarter than what they are. But when you get working against the player's money, okay, and Randy Moss, okay, it looks like you didn't get, he didn't get the clip. But here's the deal. Randy Moss came on ESPN and said the exact same thing that I said. Nobody's coming to Denver. This man is messing with people's money. And the minute you mess with a player's money, okay, and I'm going to tell you, these guys, you got a bunch of guys in the league on league minimum. Don't think everybody's getting paid greatly. That playoff money is very, very crucial. Just like the LA Rams, man, they got in, man, that's playoff money. Okay? This guy screwed those guys' money up behind a situation of him wanting to bench Russell Wilson. And this is what I'm going to tell you why. Because he can't do what Russell Wilson can. And folks, anytime you have a problem with anybody, it's usually because they can't do what you do. So Russell just looked at him, and he just looked at him, and he just looked at him. And this guy embarrassed himself, went to the podium, same thing, all arrogant. I don't got to tell you the media nothing. Well, yes, you do. Because let me tell you why you do, Mr. Sean Payton. Because if the head coach can go to the media and say, I ain't got to tell you nothing, then the NFL players need to be able to sit at their lockers and look at the media and say, I don't need to tell you nothing either. That's your job. That's what you went in there and got $18 million a year from the Walton. I'm not a fan. Okay, because when I see guys like this, they'll burn rubber in a second. He don't care if he stays there. He has no loyalty. He is no father figure. Bill Parcells took Lawrence Taylor. Okay? Bill Belichick took Tom Brady under their wings, coached them up as father figures. And when you get somebody in your organization that's not a father figure, it's time to go. Okay? And Randy Moss was straight with it. You come in here and you mess with my money. There's no way, if you can mess with Russell Wilson's money, then I ain't got a chance on my money, because if I don't play good, you're going to try to come up with some excuse to get me out of there. And folks, I told you all along, this is conduct detrimental. This is not the way the NFL runs. And I got the final question before I close. To the Waltons, if this is your way, the way you do business at Walmart, and to our communities out there, and I'm talking about the Asian community, the Hispanic community, the African American community, because we're the biggest consumers. Folks, don't kid yourself. If we didn't go to NFL games as a minorities, there would be no games. And they showed us that when it came time for the college bowl games. If you don't have those black players in there playing, then there ain't no bowl money. And that bowl money takes care of a lot of people. It takes care of the Olympics, takes care of the universities, it takes care of a whole lot of people. But they fed us all that for years that we played college ball for education. Because you're going to get a good education. It wasn't about the education. Sean Payton's up in there. He ain't about going 6 years up in Denver. He couldn't finish a contract at his last position. If a man can't finish a contract, he goes and gets another contract, and you give up compensation. Folks, I'm only telling you this because I keep it real, and I report this the right words due, and I'm going to tell you to my sources. You know, Jason Whitlock, super conservative. Warren Sapp, man, if Dion didn't get a blessing getting you, he ain't seen a blessing yet. Because if that man spotted this, and he's a defensive lineman, and he played in the league all them years, and he said, look, no quarterback that I've seen in my entire career has taken that kind of ridicule from a coach in public. And that's why I love the Harbaugh brothers. They got something to tell you. They're going to take you behind them, put you in office. Let's talk. Nobody exposes. Two things I told you do not do in the NFL. You don't call out players at the podium, and you don't call out coaches. Okay? He violated those both rules. You lost. You're going to lose again next year. You're going to lose again next year. And I'm saying to you, the Waltons, you guys are good enough in business to know if there's no cap money and you ain't got no quarterback, and the quarterback that he just said is going to be your future and why you made a change because he gives us the best chance to win, and he's taking away a guaranteed quarterback contract, what quarterback you think you're going to get up in Denver? I don't think so. And Waltons, you're smart enough. You've been in, you know what? The Walmart was built off of hard work. And when I say hard work, that man, Walton, that man would go somewhere, buy his goods, and return that night and have them ready each and every morning. That was hard work off a player back. Folks, to play in the NFL is a very hard job. For an NFL player, I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Samoan, if you could play 17 games in the NFL today, that is the hardest job in America, and I don't care how much money you make. And the second thing is, I don't care how much money those players make. There is no CEO of any corporation, and that's what the Broncos are. They're a nonprofit corporation, has a right to go in there and do what he did, because that's the same as being on a job and spitting in a man's face. And I don't care how much money you face. You don't have, you give me. You don't have a right to spit in my face. Okay? And so your whole deal with Paul Hackett, calling him out, your deal with Russell Wilson, kissing babies, all this stuff. Folks, let me tell you why Payton's doing that, because he don't know what to do. And for all of us know, been around the NFL long enough. And folks, I've been around the NFL from the Harbaugh brothers. They ain't no better. They ain't no better. And I've never seen Jim Harbaugh panic. I have never seen the Harbaugh brothers panic. And you know why? Because they do it the right way. First thing, whoever gets Jim Harbaugh in the Broncos, if you consider, you don't need him. You got two great coaches there. But my money's on the San Diego Chargers. And people say the Raiders. And Tom only talking, that's a Michigan thing. Michigan man. They're Michigan men. They support each other. But here's the thing when you get Jim Harbaugh, and I'll tell you the thing you're not going to get. Jim Harbaugh is going to strip that whole organization down. He's going to build it back up piece by piece. Each player will know how to block and tackle and play football. And you will practice harder than you have ever practiced in your life. And he will tell you who's got it better than us. I've seen it with my own eyes with the San Francisco 49ers. He had a lot of success. But here's the flip side with Jim Harbaugh. He ain't no second fiddle. Okay? And Tom, if you get him there, he ain't listening to you. He ain't listening to nobody. Jim runs by the beat of his own drum, same as his brother. Okay? The only difference in Baltimore, they just leave him alone. And two things they understand, you can win with a black quarterback. Okay? Both of them have won and went to Super Bowls with the black quarterback. Okay, so this deal, you give Jim Harbaugh Russell Wilson, Because Jim Harbaugh can design plays. Okay? Jim Harbaugh designs plays just as good as Kyle Shanahan. Okay? And he'll use that double tight end. And I guarantee if he had Russell Wilson would be having another Pro Bowl career. Because that's what he does. The Harbaugh brothers, because their father, you know what? He's a coach. Okay? Their father, Jack's a coach. Who's got it better than us? Told them that from little kids, battling all up. And what they do is they appreciate the players. Okay? They appreciate them. They understand. Harbaugh was a quarterback in the league, played for the Colts. So he understood. And let me tell you, when he comes in and coaching Alex Smith, and Alex Smith was struggling, we finally saw Alex get on solid ground, okay, before Colin Kaepernick took over. But let me tell you something. Alex Smith left there, went right up to the next 49ers connection, Andy Reid. Okay, so Jim Harbaugh, I'm telling you, is a good coach. But anybody who hires Jim Harbaugh, you got to let him do his thing. And he's going to win. And you're going to win for good for a long time. But Jim Harbaugh is going to make every single position great. Not good. You got to be great. And you better learn how to block and tackle and understand the fundamentals. I'm going to leave it at that. It's Black Monday. Coaches are getting fired. And this message to the Waltons, you're going to have to make a decision. Because this is not going to get any worse. And I understand it's a tax write-off. At the end of the day, the profit loss doesn't really matter. But you got to do this the right way. And you got to get the right people in the organization. And this is what happens. Do a skip level meeting like in corporate America. Just do a skip level. Skip level meeting is what we called it. And folks, what a skip level is the person in charge, you skip them and you start going down the line and start finding out what's going on in your organization. Okay? And if you feel you have 100% with Sean Payton, you march on. But you ain't going to find that. Okay? Because when you get them behind closed doors, they're going to give you the truth. Because every man that coaches or plays in the NFL has respect for that other man. And that's just the way the league is working. The guys who have success, they understand that. You know, and that's why Jerry Jones loves his players so much. Because those guys are going on that field, they're going to play for him. So anyway, we'll cover the Niners and the Cowboys tomorrow. Hatfields and the McCoys, get ready. And beware because Jimmy Johnson's back in the building. So you know what it is. It's a fair fight now. And we'll keep doing what we're doing. You keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to close by saying Sean Payton is not the man who says he is. His resume speaks for itself. Go in there and take a look at it. And go back and look at the numbers and see what he did in those years. And you'll find out he did not have success. I don't even know how he got the jobs. But he did. And that's what their circle, that's what the networks and friends is all about. I get it. But I'm going to wrap it up and tell you, hey, look, we'll be back with you tomorrow. You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We understand that all things are possible to those who believe. And we understand if you work hard, believe in yourself, never give up, and do your best, then God will come in and he'll do the rest. So you have a very good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.